It doesn't take much design experience to spot obvious mistakes like pixelated images or difficult to read type. It's easy to see how we could improve a website like this. But what about when it's already following basic design rules? How do you take a website from good to great? Well, I'm going to break down this real live site. How do you take a website from good to great? Well, I'm going to break down this real live site, talk about what it's doing well, and then redesign the hero section.
What's up?
रहने दे भाई, हमेशा कैंसिल होते हैं तेरे
भाई
प्लान।
बहुत चीजें होती हैं लाइफ में। तुम्हारी तरह भाई फ्लैट पे नहीं रहता हूँ, मैं घर पे रहता हूँ। बहुत चीजें देख के चलनी पड़ती है। और नहीं है भाई मेरे पास पैसे, अभी नहीं है रिसोर्सेज मेरे पास अभी घूमने के लिए।
या एक बार फिर बोला दोस्तों को झूठ, पैसे छोड़ मेरा घूमने का मन ही नहीं है।
सच
हंसता हूँ पहले से ज्यादा, लाइफ इज अ पीजे लम्हाओ बिल्कुल भी फनी नहीं है। सर पे काले से बादल का साया, छुट्टी का दिन भारतीय का सनी नहीं है। क्यों ढूंढता फिरूं मैं धूप को दूर दूर तक, नामो निशान नहीं। फोन क्यों बिजी है तेरा, घर बैठे जबकि तू करता कोई काम नहीं। गर्मी है काफी दिमाग में, दिखेगा नहीं तुझे चेहरे पे साफ। आंखों में नींद मेरे सीने में डार, बस आखिरी सांस तक एक ही सवाल, क्यों गिर चुका हूँ खुद की नजरों में अब मैं, भला क्यों भला क्यों अपना बोलते हैं शुरू में अंत में ही दगा क्यों। जरा पूछ खुश है तू जिल्लत है दुनिया में या फिर तू जी रहा है झूठ, बता। पेश करता रहा सारे सबूत, मैं बेगुनाह हूँ भला क्यों। पैसे के बदले ही प्यार में ले आज हर जगह क्यों। गाना निगाह गाना निगाह गाना निगाह पर मैं आए दिन लोग करे मेरी लिरिकल एबिलिटी पे शक, पड़ता पार्टी फक बहुत देता था कल, वक्त ने दे रहा था आज, अब देने को दोनों ही नहीं। मेरे कली मेहनत करी रोके बिना मैंने तभी मिला मुझे कर्मों का फल। दौलत है दोस्त बने कम, मुक्त मेरे शब्दों को बीट करूं और बुदा
Question, SEO work. Let's have a look at what it's doing well. So along the top navigation, it's following conventions, which helps the user get around. We have the brand name in the top left, although the logo is very, very generic looking. Then we have the navigation items along the top, take you around the website, and the kind of account and options things over on the right. Then nextly, we come to this hero section, and there's a good hierarchy here where we have a large headline, byline underneath it, and there's appropriate scale for that being smaller than the biggest headline, and then some call to action buttons following that. And it's starting by telling us something about the value, telling us what the company is all about and what it can do for you. So that's the right kind of things to include there. The call to action is well done in the sense we have this button get started, so it's a clear move, and that is the most prominent button. We do give the users options, which people like that optionality, but not too many options. That's going to paralyze them. So here there's just two below this hero copy, and the minor one, the one we don't want people to go towards, is grayed out, and we give people that primary option. So this is the best practice way of doing it, and that call to action as well is repeated up in that top right. Get started and request a demo take you to the same place. Next we have some social proof, some of the clients they've worked with, and this really helps for building trust, particularly here as they've got some actual recognizable well-known brand names amongst their clients. Then we move on to results. This is really good marketing order. What will this do for me? So they're backing it up with some evidence about what actually happens for their clients. And this section here is easy to scan. 3 is a good good number. 2 doesn't feel like enough. 5 plus, it starts to get difficult to sort of scan through. So having these 3 in 3 columns with very short copy, sales growth, search traffic, less time spent on analytics, that helps it being easy to scan. So what can we do to take this up a level? I mean, it's already got things like good typesetting, the line lengths aren't too long, we've got appropriate contrast of dark type on a white background, there's enough white space around everything, they're showing appropriate restraint, not using too many colors, only using one typeface. So what can we do? These obvious mistakes aren't there, but what I think we have really is a website that lacks a lot of visual appeal. It's just kind of boring, isn't it? It's just this white background, Roboto, which is just such a ubiquitous font, and really we want to give it more life. So let's have a look section by section. First of all, we've had this top navigation. So what I've done here is broken this down by using the full viewport width into more of 3 sections, because that wasn't quite obvious, particularly when you see the full site here. The tap navigation, they need to be grouped a little bit more. So now we have the company name, which also takes you to the home on the left. In the center, the links to the different areas, and I've changed customer stories to results, so each link is only one word, and that's more what it gives you on that page. And then the account options I've kind of moved over to the side. I've shortened English just down to 2 letters because the other languages on the drop down all had 2-letter abbreviations, so why not make this one the same? And I don't think that needs to be super prominent. You can always automatically select the option, you know, in the browser with a little bit of code, but also giving people that chance to switch it is good. But sign in wants to be more prominent. That's more important. People aren't going to be changing the languages all the time. A cookie's going to do that. So this just tidies up that area. And overall with this site, I don't want to completely change their branding and reinvent the wheel and go into some sort of completely different mad style, because we would need to go through a process with them to get to that. So I'm trying to take cues from what they're already doing. I've kept that font in place. But then what about for this hero section? What can we do with this? Well, we need to bring some sort of imagery, and I think this copy is not very difficult to scan. I mean, it's quite a good offer: grow search traffic and increase conversions by growing website efficiency. But then when we read this next line, it kind of feels like bullet points. Be data informed, track competitors, get powerful websites about your website and SEO, explore potential traffic and sales growth, estimate ROI. It kind of just stops all of a sudden, and it just feels like bullet points. It's not really like prose, so I think we can do something with that. So I wanted to make more of a dramatic change here. So I've brought in some imagery to add visual interest, and this is just from a stock website, and I'll link to all the assets I've used in the description of this video to credit. And by using this headline, peak website performance, it's clear that peak performance, that repetition, that alliteration there, it just really sticks so much quicker in that nanosecond within the mind of the reader. And by using a headline which is visually suggestive, we're able to have an appropriate image here, and it just adds a lot more humanness to it. It just makes it that little bit friendlier, and we're able to to introduce, more colour to this scheme, and that just gives a better impression.
This website has a collection of the top 1% UX design portfolios. I extensively hire designers as a part of my job, and you see, I would not be pumped to check portfolios like these. Well, nothing wrong, but just about average and doesn't reflect any creativity. But these, classy, dynamic, contains important information and fun to play around with, definitely stands out from the remaining. I wouldn't expect you to learn coding or spend hours making such great portfolio sites. Just head to prettyfolio.com. Code, no code, dark, fancy, minimalist. Take inspiration from the best crowd to stand out. Share this with a designer friend who's looking for a new no-code, dark, fancy, minimal portfolio sites. Just head to prettyfolio.
Before, after. Before.
I get asked all the time, I also have an MTech degree. 2 degrees in engineering, but not a single one in design. Well, it is what it is. Why is it so shocking? UX design is largely based on skills and experience. It doesn't matter whether you have a degree or not. I learned it all by practicing consistently, working on mock and real-world design projects, building a strong portfolio, and so on and so forth. In this video, I'm going to share with you a 3-month roadmap to help you get started in this field, and also some amazing AI tools and Figma plugins to help you get a head start. So make sure you watch this till the end. But first, let us talk about why UX design. Let me give you a selfish reason first. The average salary for a beginner UX designer in India is approximately 10 lakh rupees per year. A not so selfish reason would be it's a noble profession. Sure, not as noble as a doctor and medical practitioner, but it can still potentially change the lives of people because the products that you design solves real world problems that people face. You're hungry, you can order food. You want to travel, you can book your flights, train and cab. Feeling lonely, you can find a friend or a partner. Want to watch a movie? Buy your tickets online. So not only is this a high paying, but the need for UX designers in the market is only predicted to increase. The number of UXers has increased from 1,000 to 1 million between 1980s and 2017, with further growth to 1 to 100 million UX professionals by 2050. And with AI, the job of a UX designer is not going to vanish, but AI can help make it easier, enabling them to focus on the tougher and the more important aspects. The core of being a UX designer is making the right decisions, as you should be aware that every decision you make will affect the usability of your design. As a UX designer, you need to have that clarity in your mind around which are essential things and what will merely complicate the user journey. It's easy for us to say we care most about our users, providing clear paths, emphasize important actions, reduce cognitive loads, and build trust and credibility. These are some of the bullet points that you need to check while making design decisions. These core skills and a well-rounded roadmap are more than enough to help you become a UX designer without any degree. And that's where I come in. So without any further delay, let's get started with it. Well, before we even get started with the first month, I need you all to form a habit, a very important habit. Whenever you see anything around you, anything, be it a water bottle, bag, pen, mug, chair, anything and everything around, make sure you have a habit to ask yourself critical questions about it. For example, if you take a chair, ask yourself, why is the shape like this? What value is it adding? Why is this thing protruding? Why is the recline angle like this? What is making it comfortable, good looking, sturdy or fragile, or uncomfortable or ugly? How can it be made better? What changes should be done? When you start doing this in the first few times, it will feel odd, as if why am I asking trivial questions to my own self? Am I a psycho? But very soon you will see it becoming a natural habit. Today when I look at anything, be it a physical object or a digital app or a website, I immediately have few opinions and thoughts popping in my head, which tells me the things that are good, things that are not so good, and things that are terrible that needs urgent attention. You should also be able to tune your mind to the extent that these things come naturally to you. Nope, you won't need years and years of experience to reach there. It can be done pretty fast, you just need to build that habit. Alright, let's move to month 1. You have to dedicate your first month into learning the fundamentals of UI and UX. Let me quickly tell you the difference between these two. UI is user interface, that is anything a user will interact with. In case of a coffee mug, the handle is one of the interfaces. In the digital world, UI refers to the screens, buttons, toggles, icons, and other visual elements that you usually interact with when you're using a website or an app. Whereas UX is a broader term. It refers to the entire experience you have with a product, which includes what problem it is solving. Is it easy to use? Is it delightful to use? Is it confusing? How is it to interact with? And how does the overall design make you feel? For example, in the flight booking world, you may have the best designed, easy to use and beautiful app, but while booking your flight, if the payment fails, your money gets deducted but the flight isn't booked, and you do not know what to do about it, it is still a bad experience. Well, yes, payment failure is a technical issue, but it still leads to bad user experience. Another one, let's take the example of Amazon. All the elements that make this design complete are collectively known as the the user interface and the feeling that Amazon gives you while you're shopping with the app. For example, how easy is it to find the products that you need? How seamless is their checkout process? How responsive the app is, and so on, is what makes the user experience. There is yet one more term that is often talked about with UI and UX, that is product design. Well, it's actually just a different name, but product design focuses on designing the overall product itself, whatever it takes. It might need some UI, some UX, some business, marketing, analytics. In short, your end goal is to design a successful product, whatever you may need to do in the process. I've covered in detail about these terminologies in my previous video. Make sure you check it out from the link in the description. After you're over with the fundamentals, the next step is to learn the principles and the laws of UI and UX. This will determine how your design should look and feel to the customers. Read about visual hierarchy, consistency, UX, full properties in my previous video. Make sure you check it out from the link in the description. After you're over with the fundamentals, the next step is to learn the principles and the laws
You are now listening to DL91FM.
बस तिरछी शरारा लाइन है पाइप बड़े मेरी यार बस पाउडर पिघला के जा रहा दोस्त मेरा ऑन टॉप और भागो शिनाल करे मुझे कॉल और ड्रीम कर रही ट्रैवल मेरी डार्क हाउस से रात और कैप्सूल में ब्लो बाय ऐप करे मैंने सब मेरी ग्राम से भरी हुई सब मिला गली में खड़ा तो डाउट तेरी आदतें गंदी हम आउट उसे आदत हो गई दूसरे की वो प्यार नहीं उन्हें आदत हो गई साथ रहने की वो साथ नहीं उन्हें आदत है एक दूसरे की परवाह नहीं ओह या उसे आदत हो गई है वो प्यार नहीं वो अभी देखे मेरी राह गई कितनी पीड़ी मुझे याद नहीं आदत हो गई हमें प्यार नहीं आदत हो गई हमें प्यार नहीं हम साथ हो लेकिन पास नहीं कह दिया दे हो तुम हाथ नहीं हम जब में करा रहे थे मोश पे साथ समंदर पार गई Baby I'll buy you that Gucci that Kenzo that Prada जो चाहिए वो बोल बोली के वादा जो तोड़ा ना चाहता वो मिले कहीं तभी मुँह खोल आदत है भूलने की आदत है टॉक्सिक आदत है खोने की लो आदत है जोड़ों की स्टूडियो और नोटों की आदत है सुनने की कोट आदत है लेने की बीड़ी हमेशा पर इस बार not taking that road I'm fucked up उस मैं फिर पी के को तंग करूँ फिर से कोई देना नहीं हो I'm fucked up आदत है खाने की चौक पर Baby I'll buy you that Gucci that Kenzo that Prada जो चाहिए वो बोल उसे आदत हो गई एक दूसरे की वो प्यार नहीं उन्हें आदत हो गई साथ रहने की वो साथ नहीं उन्हें आदत है एक दूसरे की परवाह नहीं ओह या उसे आदत हो गई है वो प्यार नहीं उसे आदत हो गई है वो साथ नहीं उसे आदत हो गई है परवाह नहीं उन्हें आदत हो गई एक दूसरे की वो प्यार नहीं उन्हें आदत हो गई एक दूसरे की वो प्यार नहीं
आते ये तूफान तभी तेरे नाम भाई पे है भरोसा I can let him down I have studio I'm feeling better now Can't get a drink I need another round
ना दिखे कुछ और सुनो on the sound हाँ कोई रोक लो हो रहा बंदा
अब बंद कैश लाइक नहीं चाहिए शैतान बस चाहिए शांति और खुश रहे परिवार जिससे I sound like I'm not the same guy well I don't give a fuck about where I knew the price
Baby I'm too precise कर लेता हूँ decide तो लेके टूटा knife करो इनको euthanize ये सारे look alike जाते हूँ the heist सीधा मौत तेरी जिंदगी की हूँ दवाई
सीधे मौत तेरी जिंदगी की हूँ दवाई चढ़ते सर पे है लाडले if I be too nice रहता 14 मेरा भेजा क्या था ठीक हो भाई कैसी गलती है वो अगर मैं सीखूं नहीं
सीधे मौत मिलके होना सबने मिट्टी 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 खाते खौफ सारे हमसे को मैं सिट्टी पिट्टी पिट्टी ले दे लॉस दी हम पूरी रात लिटी लिटी be a line one लिखे खत लिखे चिट्टी 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 चिट्टी
आते ये तूफान तभी तेरे नाम भाई पे है भरोसा I can let him down I have studio I'm feeling better now Can't get a drink I need another round
ना दिखे कुछ और सुनो on the sound हाँ कोई रोक लो हो रहा बंदा डाउन कोई रोक लो मुझे पीने से ना कोई रोक पाए मुझे जीने से मुझे लाइफ बनानी है पैराडाइम मेरा हर सीजन है वैलेंटाइन तूने ब्लॉक करा गया लैंडलाइन उस पर लेके ने डेलाइट मुझे याद आई इधर लेके लेट नाइट हो गई स्टक तेरी याद मैं जहाँ भी आ गई साथ वो दली मेरे सिस्टम में वक्त तेरे प्रोग्राम हो गई स्टक तेरी याद आ गई मेरे साथ करूँ दारू पी के दली के दरवाजे में पेशाब कोई रोक लो मुझे पीने से मेरे दिल जोड़ दो इस सीने में
मेरा दिल जोड़ दो सीने में और मोटी प्लेयर है बगल में तेरे let me play और तेरी खुशबू से जुड़े ना जो वो क्या नशे बस तेरी जासूसी में लगा हुआ हूँ प्रोफाइल ड्रेस और भावे पैसा कर रहा पैसा मेरा डोपामिन आमिर घराने का नहीं पावे I don't talk shit और भावे गाँव में चल रही चोदे पूरा बैक पोस्ट पत्थर को करने बैठा का मेरा लैब कोट बिल्ली का DNA जाना तूने अटैक जोन और मिले ऐसी कोई जो पूछे ना मेरी बैक स्टोरी जज्बातें लिखने कैसे रोकूं ना मेरा मेन टॉपिक मारेंगे पावे इन साइलेंस साइनाइड और मेरी खिड़की से दिख रही हर समय ब्राइट साइड तेरी पार्टी में वाइब में रनिंग ब्राइट राइट ये प्लग है सर्टिफाइड जिसका ये सामान लाइफ मेरा कैसा वक्त चल रहा है पैसा लाइन नहीं टाइम लाइन ये लंबी लाइन है तेरी फ्यूल मुझे जैसे नाइट्रो और भावे वाइब ले रहा हूँ फील करे मुझे डायग्नोज और बादल सीजन लाना चाह रहे भावे टाइम स्टॉप आते ये तूफान तभी तेरे नाम भाई पे है भरोसा I can let him down I have studio I'm
कभी खफा ना होना दोबारा, करी जो गलती आगे नहीं दोहराना। तू भी कभी ना माना, अभी आवारा, वो ही थी बस खुश रहने का बहाना। यूं ही मैं बस देख जाऊं तेरी राह, ये समय भी थम चुका है, अब एक कविता है तेरे नाम, हम इस मदिरा में डूबे जाए। मैं बस देख जाऊं तेरी राह, ये समय भी थम चुका है, अब एक कविता है तेरे नाम, हम इस मदिरा में डूबे जाए। वो कभी थी गाना, कभी ठिकाना, कभी थी प्यार और कभी थी सारा, कभी थी वर्षा, कभी थी छाता, कभी थी दोस्त और कभी थी ज्वाला, कभी था गम में तो वो थी बस यहाँ पर, कभी वो नाक पे दम से जुकाम है, ओटा में कलम के दम पे नहीं रहना यह काम, तभी एल आएगा साइलेंट इस नाम में। वो बोला रही घर अभी बिजी हूँ काम से, पसंद आई बंदी वो दिखी थी ग्राम पे, करे नहीं हील अभी गाँव तेरे साथ के, सांपों की नगरी में चलूं मैं ध्यान से, तेरी कुछ इच्छा थी मेरे भी ख्वाब थे, पूछा था जो भी यहाँ सारे जवाब दे, तूने दी शिक्षा नहीं हारूंगा प्यार से, तेरे से सीखा नहीं हारूंगा प्यार से।
लड़े लड़े पड़े गुस्से दीवार पे, गोली भरी पड़ी घोड़े के नाल पे, गोली चली पड़ी लगे मरे लगे, गले पे पत्थर है बड़े बड़े, गले लगे गली मेरी कटे गले, जहाँ पे कोने के गुस्से से फटे पड़े, यहाँ पे दोस्तों में हिंदा बशरता सामने आपके सर ना उठे, आपके घुटने टिके जहाँ पे। कवि है चाहते कहना की प्यारी जवाब है, जो तेरा भारी स्वभाव है तुझे दुनिया को दर्शाता है, और तेरे अंदर का इंसान तू अच्छे से जानता है, मैं जानता हूँ कितनी बकचोदी में जी के तू जीत रही है, मैं मानता हूँ मैं नापता हूँ लोगों को फिक्र से, ताकि तुझ जैसी जब मिले तो तुझे पहचान पाऊँ।
होना दोबारा, करी जो गलती आगे नहीं दोहराना। तू भी मैं बस देख जाऊं तेरी राह, ये समय भी थम चुका, अब एक कविता है तेरे नाम, हम इस मदिरा में डूबे जाए। मैं बस देख जाऊं तेरी राह, ये समय भी थम चुका है, अब एक कविता है तेरे नाम, हम इस मदिरा में डूबे जाए।
Most of the UIs are just text and buttons. With some icons to help users take necessary actions. So mastering typography is that 20% of the design that gives you the 80% of the results. Let's start by removing all the font styles from this very popular UI. On the left sidebar, we broke the selected tab. That's definitely bad for user experience. We have no idea where we are right now. Same thing for the buttons on top. Now, coming to the feed itself. There is no hierarchy and point of focus, so it's tough to tell what we are looking at. It's just a bunch of text. Looking at the original shows the impact of typography in UI design.
बैठा ना कोसू मैं किस्मत को दूरी हूँ सबसे मैं ठीक लगे रहा सपनों में जी अपनों में जी खुशियों के बीच रहा सदमों में जी खुद से करे कुछ प्रश्नों में जी रात का अतीत के सदमों में ही मैंने ढूंढ के देखा फिर काफी दफा सुकून शराब और गजलों में भी मैं किस तरह हो रहा था कुछ भी ना जीवन में बाबे बस हो रहा था कुछ भी ना लगन थी हिम्मत थी बोला था कुछ भी ना दिल में दबाया सब खोला था कुछ भी ना अपनों पे जाना जरबाबे मैं कर रहा था नौकरी कर रहा था सेशन और सोता था 4 घंटे हो रहा क्या होश नहीं सोचो कब रोशनी जीवन में आया तो कर दूं मैं शॉर्ट सीन गुस्सा भरा भी था टॉक्सिक पीठों पे चढ़ता तो करता है टॉप सिरा कड़े कर रहा था बाबे रिकॉर्डिंग दल्ले ये चाहे कि बाबे वी डोंट विन बहुतों को करना है साबित गलत तो खेला मैंने जब ना थी कोई शॉर्ट भी मेहनत से किस्मत दी आखिर पर लड़ रहता मैं चुपचाप ये दिन थे बड़े गुस्ताख जीना चाहा बाबे था मौत खड़ी थी उस पार लड़ते बस हालातों से अपनों को गया कुछ चार सीख लिया समय से ना बड़ा कोई उस्ताद कसली कमर और छोड़ी कसर ना थी दुखता दिल में करती बातें थी अपनों की बाबे उत्पाद कल तक लगता बाबे बस रही है खाली खुद साथ हर घड़ी ना एक सी हवा ने बदला रुखा
परसों मैं CRPF कैंप वाले पार्क में मारा था जोटे कल आया नया ऑफिस देख के 22वें फ्लोर पे होना चाहता था दूर शायद इन लोगों के शोर से बगावत की बू आती है दोस्तों की ओर से कामयाबी की सीढ़ी चढ़ते खारे घुटने पे ठोकरे बंदे हैं रोडी नहीं भंडी भंडी में आगे रोड पे कमरे में 2 से ज्यादा देखे नहीं जाते हैं थोपड़े खुलता है मुंह ज्यादा उसके तुरंत खुलते हैं खोपड़े कंसिस्टेंट हूँ जैसे दर्द किसी बुढ़े के जोड़ पे सलमान जैसे कंपटीशन हड़काता हूँ फोन पे कुछ रखती गूगल पे और कुछ रखती यहाँ पे फोन पे पर यहाँ पर एक नहीं जो रखती है प्यार ऊपर नोट के प्यार दे बदले में प्यार ले एक दे दिल से और उसके बदले में 4 ले हवस भरी आंखों से लौंडे सड़क पे ताड़ रहे हम बैठे इन जज्बातों को समाचार का आकार दें ये सब
Bandi thicker, digging deeper, 7-figure kamikaze करे heat up, loot it gin like it's a stick up, pick up ऐसे bitch और नशे अभी fuck my shit up, महंगी ticket वही दोस्त महंगे शौकर मेरी मैं लाश बीटा है लाश हूँ मेरा हैश सपनी है दैट ना करूँ मैस सुने है मैस बड़ा है गैप खाली है हैश और है कैश ऐसा मसाज you can imagine कितना है लैक्स कितनी है बैक करे हैं गैप तो पड़े हैं रैप up in the map pick up पापा calling हो गई ticket चेपू लौंडे रहे हैं चिपक गए ये मिनट से पहले निपट I mean हाँ set up कमर सीधी करके get up गेम है कातिल प्लेयर है किलर नियम इलर इन फिकर करे माँ बाप जानते नहीं है बेटा किधर जीते जाते जिधर जूते देके जनता जाती बिगड़ क्लिक लेट और के जब कोई पूछे can I click up pick up the big trigger
Let's try to build it from scratch. The most obvious thing is to make the title bigger and a bit bolder than the rest of the elements. Did you notice the gap here? It's not gap, margin, or padding. It's the line height doing its thing, but more on that later. For now, we have a UI that is almost there, but we can make it better. Right now, this whole thing looks like one single block of information, like we are telling the user, hey, you better read this as well. But we know that the title is connected to the thumbnail, and users should look at these two together before moving on to the other elements. In short, we don't just want the title to stand out. We also need it to stand on its own, separate from this group. To do that, we need to understand how the human brain recognizes shapes and patterns. What do you see here? How can we separate them into two groups? We could space them out like this, but people might still get confused between one group of 6 circles or 2 groups of 3 circles. So let's try size. This is also confusing. Some might see this as 3 groups instead of the 2 we intended. Let's try color. It's still not clear enough if it's 3 or 2 groups, but if we just move the second group a bit down, it becomes very clear that it's 2 groups instead of 3. You can validate this by showing it to your friends or colleagues. Now, let's retrace our steps before we go back to fonts. You are going to need size, color, and spacing to group or separate elements. Technically, spacing falls under the law of proximity, but it's used for the same purpose, to group or separate elements. Speaking of laws, you can also use shape to group elements, but it doesn't help us in this case. However, we do have font weight. More on that later. For now, let's get back to the UI we were designing earlier. From what we just observed, we already have these 3 properties to emphasize and separate the title from this group. All we need is color. But which color? White on black is already at the max contrast possible. So, to emphasize this, we need to de-emphasize that. The easiest way to do that is by tweaking the lightness value and seeing what works best. In our case, 60% lightness is the sweet spot for keeping the text readable and still emphasizing the title. This is a pretty brilliant technique in UI design. You know who else is brilliant? The sponsor of this video. They are exceptional as in math, searchers, and time in code. If we zoom out a bit, we'll see this color trick being used everywhere. The most important elements have the highest contrast, and then to de-emphasize other elements, they just played with the lightness value. But this is a bit different. We will come to it later in the video. For now, you just have to understand the HSL color function and how it's used in UI design. It's short for hue, saturation, and lightness. This is the type of color you want, like red, green, or blue. It's measured in degrees on a color wheel. Starts at 0 with red, 120 is green, and 240 is blue. Think of it as picking the base color. Saturation controls the intensity of that base color. A saturation of 100% gives you the most intense version of the color, and 0% turns it into a shade of gray. And finally, we use lightness to control the brightness. At 50%, you get the base color. At 0, it's black, and at 100, it's white. So, hue represents color values that range from 0 to 360. Saturation is the intensity, measured in percentage, and lightness is a percentage that controls the brightness. To assign a color, we use these values inside the HSL function like this. For this video, all we need is the lightness value. After all, this video is about font styles, not colors. That's exactly what we did here. This has a lightness of 100%, and this one has 60. Using the same concept, we can wrap this inside a card and give the card 10 or 20% lightness. We can also use color. Just focus on the lightness value. This color is too bright for the card, so let's bring it down to 10%. Let's apply the base color to this group and see if it works. We'll check that in a minute, but first we need a lighter color for the title, because the base color won't work in this case. 90% looks good, but the base color is a bit dark for this group, so I'm going to bump it up to 70 and see if that does the job. I think it will work, but let's zoom out and see how it looks on a real UI. We want to check if the title stands out and if the group is legible. Ideally, you'd test this with real users, but you can also show it to friends or colleagues for feedback. And by the way, this is just using a lighter color to highlight the active tab. Lighter shades appear on top, making them more important. Before we move forward with the rest of the video, let's improve this UI using the basic concepts we've learned. We have a list of channels the user is subscribed to. How can we provide a better user experience? Firstly, there is no hierarchy. Everything just looks like a blob of text. Secondly, this button needs to stand out. Let's zoom in. Some size and weight to emphasize the title. Then a dark zoom in. Some size and weight to emphasize the title. Then a darker color and smaller size to de-emphasize the username. A lighter color to highlight the button, but the button doesn't look quite right here. Let's move it to the right and wrap everything inside a card. It's looking much better now. The button still looks a bit bulky though. Let's reduce the font size to match the username. It looks good, but remember, we're zoomed in. We need to check if it works at the original size. The username might be hard to read. It could use some weight, and so could the button. I'll leave it to you to judge the design. For now, let's shift gears. These are all the font sizes you need to design 99% of apps and UIs. And if you want, just these three, combined with weight and color, are enough to build an entire UI. How many font sizes do you see here? These all have the same font size of 16 pixels, except for this one. The impact of weight and color on font size is pretty wild, so you don't need many sizes to create hierarchy. Combining size, weight, and color can do the trick. I'm not saying you should create a type scale like this, but this won't help you much either. You'll probably need something more like this. Yep, that's it. Everything you see is 14 pixels, except for the title and the 2 headings. It's the same on this video page. Everything is 14 pixels, except for the title and the channel name. For your project, just pick a base font size. Either the name on you see probably needs something more like this. Yep, that's it. Everything you see is 14 pixels, except for the title and the 2 headings. It's the same on this video page. Everything is 14 pixels, except for the title and the channel name. For your project, just pick a base font size. Either 14 or 16 pixels, regular weight, and 100% lightness. I'll get to light mode in a minute, but let's finish this first. Once you've lightness. I'll get to light mode in a minute, but let's finish this first. Once you've picked your base font, try designing everything with that size, and when you absolutely need to, go 2 pixels up or down from there. That's it. That's your type scale. To make things easier, assign them as global variables. This isn't a CSS video, but here's how you can do it. First, set the font weight, then the font size and line height, and finally, the font family. Any popular font will work just fine. You can get them for free from Google. First, convert the pixel unit to a rem value. We want our app to follow accessibility guidelines, so users should be able to adjust the font size if they need to. Secondly, this em value is very important. Remember this gap. This is crucial for the title to stand out and stand alone. In most cases, we don't need to manually add a gap or margin. The line height takes care of it automatically, acting as the margin bottom for text elements. So your global variables might look something like this. And that's it. This is all you need to build a top-tier UI. But keep in mind, not all H1 elements will share the same font style. Code for document hierarchy, but style for visual hierarchy. You might think this is the obvious solution, but it should actually look something like this. Use your visual hierarchy. You might think this is the obvious solution, but it should actually look something like this. Use your common sense to judge what the user will focus on and emphasize that text. Once you're happy with the design, zoom out and view the entire UI. Font size is a relative unit, meaning it depends on its neighboring elements. Right now, both are competing for attention. Let's try a bigger font size and see if that works. Big, bold fonts can often be too harsh on the eyes, so let's bring the weight down and see if that works. It looks good, but this is a dynamic number, so we need to account for that as well. Don't just design for visual hierarchy, design for functionality too. Let's now wrap things up by converting this design to light mode. It's much easier than you think. Let's start with these 3 colors, white, gray, and black. As I said earlier, all you need is this L value, so always use HSL instead of hex or RGB. The background is pure black, so the light mode will be pure white. But if you look at the L value, we just did a simple calculation there. Subtract the L value from 100. And that's all you need to do with these colors too. Let's do the same thing with this UI, which has a lot of colors in it, some used for gradient backgrounds, and others for text, labels, and buttons. Here's what those colors look like on a light background without any modifications. And if we subtract the L value from 100, they'll look something like this. Now all you have to do is switch out the colors with the help of CSS variables. I could keep going, but remember, this video is about font styles, not colors. You can check out this color generator on my website. This could help you break out of the typical gray color scheme. The link will be in the description, just below the like and subscribe buttons.
Spotify, the world's most popular music app that once in a while makes its user double think whether they should continue using it. And the downturn that its UI is taking could be one of the main factors. While we were sitting here waiting for certain issues to be fixed, Spotify kept on adding new features and designs that created even more problems and inconsistencies across different devices. I mean, if there's a quest for the perfect music app, Spotify is busy doing all the side quests. After you guys asked me to redesign Spotify, I knew it was time to complete that main quest. Past few years, Spotify's general style changed a lot, going from a more serious, sharp design to a playful, rounded design. So I'm not going to change that, but there are other problems here. First of all, even though Spotify's font is cool, it's not exactly free. So I'm using the closest alternative in my design. Font is cool, it's not exactly free. So I'm using the closest alternative in my design. Secondly, Spotify changed all of its icons a while back to match the new design. But these icons are still a little inconsistent and sometimes misleading. So I made a whole set of icons for them from scratch. Thirdly, we all know Spotify doesn't only have a list of songs. It has albums, playlists, and recently, podcasts and audiobooks. Also more on these later. But the thing is, if I remove the cover image, would you be able to tell what's what at the first glance? Yeah, that's a problem. We get used to the way different things look like on apps, and not just through icons or titles, but the layouts and shapes. So if we had little details on these items, they would be much easier to distinguish anywhere on the app. Last but not least, this one's gonna feel a little cursed, but why isn't there a light mode? I mean, I'll probably never use it, but some people do, and that's why certain other apps have it. So Spotify, you might want to give that a try. In the very beginning, we must answer this question. What the hell do we want from a simple music app? A homepage to see music related to us, a search and browse page to find more music, a library to save stuff, a section for our profile and other account details, and a place to see the music that's now playing. That's it. Everything else is a side quest. So let's focus on the main things first. Here are two different versions of Spotify on mobile and desktop. Let's see if the layout checks out this list. If you're a free user, you'll see 4 of the main parts down here on the mobile. But there's this whole premium tab that keeps haunting you wherever you go. And on iPhone, it's literally useless thanks to certain policies. And you ultimately wherever you go. And on iPhone, it's literally useless thanks to certain policies, and you ultimately gotta subscribe on their website. On the other hand, your profile, settings, and everything is hidden up here, far away from any point your thumb can reach. Instead, it could have been down here, merged with the whole subscription details. On desktop, the layout is a bit more complicated. The app is divided between different sections with no sign of hierarchy. Like home and search waste this entire space and open up on this side, where we can also see the other elements on our checklist. Can't decide if profile and friends are subsections of home or search. If they are, why does friend activity open on a whole different section? If they aren't, why are they in here to begin with? Then there's the whole goddamn library on the sidebar with weird expansion controls. I mean, I get it. What Spotify is aiming for is a modular design that gives you flexibility in choosing how different sections look. But what's more modular than different tabs? I put all the main parts of the app up here. And since we need the library on the sidebar, we'll just leave it here for now. This way you can even open new tabs from anything you like. Alright, enough fun and games. Time to play some good music. On a Spotify desktop, if you want to search, you gotta click on the search on the sidebar and then, no, over here. Yeah, and then search for whatever. On this new design though, you'll just click on search right up here and it will immediately turn into a search bar. Before I even search for anything though, can we talk about what a weird salad of different things this whole browse section is? Like if I want to find more rock music, I gotta read through all the tiles to find it. Items here are from completely different categories, so why not group them under different titles? On mobile, you have a row on the top for clips, which is a new thing Spotify is trying. I'll remove it for now, but I'll come back to this one later as well. Alright, let me find some of my favorite artists now. Wow, this is great. Everything is 100% related to my search. Up here, let's make these search filters look distinguished from all other types of buttons and tags. Up here, let's make these search filters look distinguished from all other types of buttons and tags on the app. This is one of my favorite artists, so let's go see what's up. On desktop, the first thing we see on the artist page is their top 10 most popular songs. Then a row for their discography with all their releases in one place, be it albums or singles. and then the rest of the page is just stuff related to the artist. But let's be fair, we only care about this part, at least in the beginning. So it shouldn't be such a pain to browse. Like, let's say I'm looking for a certain album. I click on the albums and I only see a few of them. How do I see all of them? There should be some sort of a scroll bar, right? But no, I gotta see all their songs and albums and EPs in one very long page. Luckily, there are filters up here to make our job easier, but come on, no one wants to go through this every time. If you think this is bad, then you should know that the mobile app doesn't even have a proper discography section except this button that takes you to the page with the whole discography. No filter, no sorting, nothing. Instead of all this, on top of the main page, we could have different tabs for everything. For example, nothing. Instead of all this, on top of the main page, we could have different tabs for everything. For example, on the main page, there could be some of the most popular songs, and on top of that, some of the songs you listen to most frequently. So when I hit play, it wouldn't start playing the most popular songs. Because I don't know about you, but my favorite songs from an artist might not always be the most popular ones. On the right side, I can add some of the artist's picked content and a small About section that links to the About tab where you can find full info about the artist. On the Album tab, you can find a list of all albums in two different views, grid and list. But instead of all the albums being expanded, turning the page into an infinite scroll bar, they'll be collapsed in the beginning so you can open whichever one you like. The same goes for the rest of the tabs. Oh, I almost forgot. We really need to be able to search on every page. I don't know, I just feel powerless without a search bar. Alright, let's actually visit this album now. On Spotify, the design of the album page is similar to the playlist, song, podcast, and everything else. I mean, it's okay for the layout to be the same, but on an album, you would want to see the album cover a little better. And why is the title size so large sometimes and so small other times when they're longer? Why can't it just be a fixed readable size? Now that we're at it, why not change the layout a little bit and add more details to the album page, like genre tags for discovering similar songs, or a list of all the artists contributing to the album. The song list itself could add a life-saving feature to be able to select multiple songs and apply bulk actions on them. The playlist page or a podcast page will have about the same layout, except with a smaller cover image. But the layout here allows for much more information to be available on the sidebar. I'm gonna add this album to my library and listen to it later on my phone when I'm touching grass. But you know what? I'm tired of listening to this album or my other favorite artists over and over. What does my Spotify homepage have to recommend based on the music I follow? Well, let's see. The homepage of Spotify has different rows of recommendations for you. Sometimes they're related to you and other times they have nothing to do with you. Yeah, the homepage is supposed to be a marketing funnel, but history has shown that we music listeners are very committed to our preferences. And this page might be called home, but it doesn't feel like home. First of all, let's switch all the items to the new style that properly differentiates them. On desktop, you can't see all the items on the rows. You can use style that properly differentiates them. On desktop, you can't see all the items on the rows. You gotta go to another page for that. But it's not like there's so many that couldn't just be on the main page with one scroll to the right. Like, that's the most expected behavior here. Then you get all these recommendations of podcasts and audiobooks right from the beginning. I don't know how it's recommending me these specific things, but sure, you do your marketing. It's just that this is the home page, which means every user should be able to customize what they want to see here. So to fix that, I'm adding an option to hide a section completely. Or if you like it too much, just pin it to the top. Actually, why not let you add or remove whatever you like to your own homepage? A menu like this could help you pin, move, or hide different rows. Or if you want, add a new row from your library. Or turn dynamic recommendation rows on or off. Your homepage, your rules. Last but not least, on the top you get these buttons that look like filters for the content on the homepage. On desktop, it doesn't seem to filter the content, it just recommends other things in that category, which is weird. But even weirder is the behavior on mobile. They basically turn your homepage into TikTok Lite, playing previews of different audiobooks, podcasts, or songs, but at their very climax, just giving you the best part of the song, which is both sad and great for marketing. But it certainly doesn't belong in my homepage. Remember the clips from the search page? Well, why not mix them together and put them on a different tab called Discover? So if you ever want to discover new stuff, you know where to find them. Ever want to discover new stuff, you know where to find them. A Discover clip is basically a song preview card with the elements from clips. But what is the point of this quick preview of songs? To add them to my library at the end? Well, maybe I don't want them mixed with my favorite songs. Maybe I just want to listen to the full song later and decide how I feel about it. Expecting people to create their own playlists to save things for later is not the best way to draw engagement either, because the interactions have to be quick, right? So we need a place like Saves, to save something to explore later. Spotify already has a saved episodes section in the library, so we can expand that. And to drive even more engagement, there could be a number to show how many people saved this music. On the top of the Discover page, I'm adding several categories. Just swipe left or right and listen to different genres. You know what? This song actually caught my ear. And now, the most controversial part of the app, the now playing part. This option here for different devices, it bothered me why this specific option had to be here and not the other more frequently used ones. So I asked you guys for your opinion and yeah, I got my answer. The add to playlist icon goes here. But what if, hear me out now, what if there was a way to do even more without expanding this? Think of a hold gesture that shows you 3 different options like liking the song, device list, and hiding the song. This way you could speed everything up. But let's say you wanted to expand it. This is where I kept reminding myself of that old saying. There is always a better way of designing things. But before that, a huge thank you to the sponsor of this video, Mobbin. Are you kidding me? Those are some good navigation bar examples. Thank you. Wait. Do you happen to have any music-related UI examples? You do? Ooh, that's exciting. There's a bunch of good ideas in here. Where do you even get these from? It's a website filled with UX and UI inspiration across all sorts of industries? Well, look at this. They have full flows of apps recorded in here. I was looking for this. There's different versions of Spotify completely recorded in here. There's examples of different marketing pages, UI elements, screens, and so much more. I already have a bunch of cool ideas now. Let me send all of them to my library and keep them for later. This is just pure gold. and you gotta go down here to see the lyrics, then click on here to expand the lyrics. That's 2 interactions. Only so much more. I already have a bunch of cool ideas now. Let me send all of them to my library and keep them for later. This is just pure gold. And you know where we keep our gold? Alright, now what do you think about... The expanded now playing is mostly alright, except this is just pure gold. And you know where we keep our gold? Alright, now what do you think about... The expanded now playing is mostly alright. Except when you actually want to interact with it. Like, you gotta go down here to see the lyrics, then click on here to expand the lyrics. That's 2 interactions. Only for it not to close when you drag it down, so you gotta get out of your comfy one-handed zone to close the lyrics. Then it does the same exact thing for the cue. I feel like it's overcomplicating a very simple layout. Just move the lyrics up here. And instead of the extra options being all the way up there, bring them. Then it does the same exact thing for the cue. I feel like it's overcomplicating a very simple layout. Just move the lyrics up here. And instead of the extra options being all the way up there, bring them down here. And instead of the extra options being all the way up there, bring them down here. Ew, what is this? It adds the song to my likes? What if I don't want it to add it to my like songs and instead a playlist? I gotta open it again, unlike it, and then choose something else? Why can't add to liked songs and add to library just be 2 different icons? See, this is where I draw the line for minimalism. Now down here, we have devices, sharing, lyrics, queue, and more options. All accessible with 1 press of the thumb. The queue on Spotify is pretty simple, maybe a little too simple. For example, if you add some playlists to the queue, there is no way to remove all the songs from playlist 1 and skip to playlist 2, unless you remove all the songs one by one. I mean, who's got time for that, am I right? We could have that with a simple dragging. Now, what if you wanted to loop or shuffle playlist 3 before you reach it? Maybe just add 2 simple icons next to its name? This gives much more control over what you want to listen to. Now for the song options, what are these icons? Make a guess. Remove from library? No. Hide song. Add this artist to the library? No, of course not. It's song credits. Silly me. But now take a look at these options on desktop. They're different. There is no hide song option, the song credits icon is different, and there is no sleep timer. Besides, none of these platforms have the option to download the song for times when you're offline. That option is for playlists. Let's fix these problems on both of them. And while we're on desktop, let's talk about the desktop now playing. Spotify recently added a now playing section that has some information about the song and the artist. And since it kept opening and taking half of the screen, users were actually looking for a way to completely disable it, which later on made Spotify add an option for that in the settings. I mean, this is pretty useless. Plus, the icon looks exactly like the video icon on Spotify. And it's not like it's preserving any space, because if I want to see the lyrics, the whole screen will be filled with this song's information anyway. It just takes away the option of having my friend activity or queue on the side as I'm looking at the song information. So why not just open the songs page with a zoomed in version of the cover art, some controls, artist info, and full lyrics. The lyrics have a lot of potential on Spotify. For example, we could have time sync lyrics or just static lyrics. We could have translations of the lyrics in any language or annotations directly integrated from Genius. But well, I guess Genius already did a collaboration with someone else. We could also add a font size control for the lyrics because this might just feel too large for some of the users. Last but not least, this bottom bar really needs some love. First of all, it's just not giving Spotify with that black soulless background. How about making it pop with a dynamic color that shows as long as you're playing the song and goes gray when you pause? The song name is all the way on this side of the screen and the song options are all the way on the other side. Bring them a little closer, swap it with the play controls, and change the layout in here to let us do cool effects like this on the song. So we can skip the 30 seconds of silence in the beginning of some songs. But now, can you guess what the lyrics icon does? No, it doesn't take you to the song page. It opens a small lyrics pop-up. So you wouldn't have to open a full page if you don't want to. Alright, I'm gonna create a new playlist with this song. Did it just create a playlist with the song name? It could just have a new playlist button that lets me write a custom name, create the playlist with a song name. It could just have a new playlist button that lets me write a custom name, create the playlist, and add it to my list so I could select it if I wanted to. You're making this really hard for us, Spotify. Now I gotta go to the library and clean up the mess. I can tell Spotify really thought it ate with this library. And yeah, it's innovative, but it's not usable, especially if you have a lot of music saved from years of activity. First of all, this layout is a headache. This icon here expands and collapses the library, turning it from a sidebar to a semi-full page experience. Using this menu, you can sort the library, and change the way it looks from compact to list view and grid view, with this slider that has weird tickmark positions. Why was this even approved? But it's not like the view options and resizing matter in the slightest. Because when you close the library, it's just going to be the grid view that doesn't really make your job any easier because you still have to hover on everything to know what it is. You can't organize much in this library either, no matter how wide it is. If I go inside an empty folder, it tells me to add playlists to it by dragging and dropping. Where are the playlists in my library? When I need them. I gotta go back again? So what's the point of all this? A fixed sidebar with a folder, it tells me to add playlists to it by dragging and dropping. Where are the playlists in my library when I need them? I gotta go back again? So what's the point of all this? A fixed sidebar with a list view of the library would have done just fine. So now that the library is a fixed sidebar, everything could be categorized into different sections. This way, if you'd prefer to see your playlists, you'll open your playlists. Someone else might bring their following artists all the way to the top. And for some proper library management, you can open the library in a full page. I think it's also cool to be able to filter a library by artist or genre, and then save that as a dynamic playlist that gets updated every time you add something to your library. What is that?
Hey, how you doing? You're here.
It's updated every time you add something to your library. What is that?
Hey, how you doing? You're here with your DJ X.
Hold up a second. What is that doing in my library? I think it's very cool that we get a DJ that plays songs that match our mood, except when it doesn't. Besides the fact that it frequently recommends NPC music and plays songs that are completely irrelevant to you. And there's no way to tell it to stop. Even the placement of it in the app sucks. In my library as a playlist, the way I see this DJ is like an extension of the Now Playing. Somewhere like here. And it really needs its own controls, because sometimes it just goes on yapping.
Who's been deftly navigating the gap between Florida-Georgia line and Sam Hunt.
What do I do? Click next? Well, that just goes on to the next song. There needs to be some sort of a skip button next to it. Then it keeps recommending songs I don't vibe with. Or I wanted to recommend a certain type of song more. I should be able to express my opinion from here. Then if I don't want it anymore, I should be able to turn it off. Hold up, that's my friend. Hey, are you on Spotify? Yeah, let me add you. Let's open Friends activity and add a friend. How do you add a friend on Spotify? Do I really need to have a Facebook account? Oh, silly me, of course I have to search the username of my friend in the search bar. Only for my account? Oh, silly me, of course I have to search the username of my friend in the search bar. Only for my friends not to actually show up as friends, but as my following. So I don't have a place to see them or their activity either. Amazing! On the Spotify mobile app, even accessing your own profile and settings is complicated. It doesn't have to be like that. Just divide the profile tab into different sections. Put a preview of my profile up there, along with my username, easy to copy and share with my friends. Underneath that, put a preview of my friends list, and let me add whoever I want without the need for Facebook. I mean, imagine your social system being dependent on a third-party app. Then add my billing information and other things like settings and listening history below that. It's beyond me how Spotify can add a social media, a DJ, and TikTok together in one app, but make it impossible to reach your own settings. Think, Spotify, think. What will you have after all these annoying half-assed features? Why don't you just speed up releasing the lossless audio feature like all the other music apps? I don't know, but get your shit together. Putting these all together, say hello to a fresh new look of Spotify. One app for all. Songs, albums, playlists, podcasts, audiobooks, and more. Follow your favorite artists, listen to songs based on your mood, create playlists with your favorite songs, customize your homepage, and discover more songs. Make your library yours. Drag and drop. Miss hearing lyrics again? Check them out in one click. Music for everyone on every device. Well, that's all for this video. If you liked it, make sure you do your magic down below.
got a bag then कैसे लपट हुई ज़बा है मैक्टिन DL and हमें सभी से बेहतर bigger बंदी thicker digging deeper 7 figure kamikaze करे heat up lute chin like it's a stick up pick up पापा calling हो गई दिक्कत चेपू लौंडे रहे हैं चिपक गई ये मिनट से पहले निपट I mean बिकट बावे ड्रैगन काटे टिकट सिक्कर बिजनेस देता इज्जत का गाना का पिटा जेल में रखी है जानकारी बावे हवाबाजी पूरी खानदानी चढ़ी धंधे के कंधे पे ईमानदारी लगी गांधी ये पट्टी वो गांधारी तेरी कार्रवाई करे कामकाजी मैंने काले कांड करे कालकाजी वादा किया कभी टालता नहीं तू सामने से मीठा बस मारता एरिया गंदा तो शरीर से बास आती उस गली की भाभी की टांग था दी मैंने पीरी बस बोतल से गार्गल की जो पैसे उड़ाने तो काम भाई मानता नहीं ओल्ड स्कूल पहले फोन छिड़ता माइक्रो मैक्स गड्डी पतंग तेरा काइपो छे पहले हथियार ले सब बन रहा हूं कुछ तेरा भाई अब ऐसी सुरंगों गलियों में दिखाता रंग रली इस मेंटल में मेटल है बावे तू मैटर में पिस्टल लगी पूरी गन मरी वो मेरे ही खाल जो जाते हैं रैली में बना दे तुझे भी मंत्री आती है पास वो ग्रुपी तो बावे मेरे लैंड पे ठंड बची देखेगा बाय भागेगा बाय राजधानी काम सनसनी नो फैमिली टाइज बस फैमिली गाय मेरे अंश बैठे करे अनशन के मुंह पे मीठे क्लैप 17 के 70 ऐप और मिलती रोटी उसको जिसके मुंह में नहीं है दांत बस खोले धोती अफरा तो तू उतारे औकात 791 for life bigger बंदी thicker digging deeper 7 figure kamikaze करे heat up lute chin like it's a stick up pick up पापा calling हो गई दिक्कत चेपू लौंडे रहे हैं चिपक गई ये मिनट से पहले निपट I mean हाँ pick up पैसे बेच और नशे अभी fuck my shit up महंगी टिकट वही दोस्त महंगे शौक और महंगी लिक set up कमर सीधी करके get up गेम है कातिल प्लेयर है किलर नियम इलर इन मैं फिकर
साथ जब इसके आदि पर ये आंखें बोलती सच क्या बस सपना ही गलत क्योंकि क्या सच थक गया हूँ क्यों पूछते सब कितनी दूर हूँ अब मैं हूँ तू है एक ही बात क्यों है इतना का मुझको सांसें तेरे चल इसे भेज दे तेरी ओर क्योंकि बातें ये सफलती है
मेरा दिमाग शार्प चले जैसे कोई शार्पनर लोग टेके जान मेरी बिन तेरे क्या संडे दिल पे लगा झंडे करे हम पे नया संडे बिन तेरे क्या संडे दिल पे लगा झंडे करे हम पे नया संडे करे हम पे नया संडे करे हम पे नया संडे बंदी है लाखों में एक तेरे पे उड़ा दूं खोगा नहीं दिक्कत हूँ मैं सेल्फ मेड नहीं जानती वो हूँ मैं योद्धा रंडी को करते हमको हेट काम मेरा इनका रोज का गाने जलाता इनकी नाम मेरा देता इनको रोजगार तेरे साथ चाहिए रोज पियानो स्ट्रिंग्स लो मेरे पास देने को नोता लेकिन डर जब बोलूं डर लगे है प्यार से तो आई मीन डर शायद रात हावी हो रही है मेरे दिन पर लेकिन रात अंदर लाए मुझे दिन भर एक एक फैन जमा करे गिन के तो जब भी मैं शोज पे मिलता हूँ उनसे तो इट्स अच्छा लगा आपसे मिलकर तेज हुई लाइफ और रैन सैन प्यार की जगह नहीं वैम वैम दोस्ती बचा गई एंड डैम दोस्ती बचा गई एंड डैम हो जाते हैं या दो से एक जब एक से मिलता धोखा वो जानती है मुझको हूँ मैं कौन और मानती है हूँ मैं योद्धा बंदी लगे तू ओल्ड स्कूल तेरे कंपोज मुझे मोजार्ट आजा मुझे ले चल वॉक पे आजा तुझे ले चल गो गार्ड वो बोली तेरे जैसा है बस एक तू जाएगा तो मन मेरा रोगा मैं बोला मेरा दिल है टूटा एक भारी वजन है दो का बिन तेरे क्या संडे दिल पे लगा झंडे करे हम पे नया संडे बिन तेरे क्या संडे दिल पे लगा झंडे करे हम पे नया संडे करे हम पे नया संडे करे हम पे नया संडे
लाइट्स कैमरा एक्शन दिल्ली बॉलीवुड में हॉलीवुड बिच वो करे प्यार उसका प्यार लगे नाटक दिल्ली बोले पोपा में के पालक एक तेरा प्यार दिल्ली 100 करे बार बिन तेरे जुबान को मिले ना स्वाद लाइट्स ऑन दिल्ली खोले अपने बैककॉर्ड व्हीले पीछे मेरी कॉलोनी में मैराथन बिन तेरे सनम जल चुका बदन लेके जा रही दिल्ली मुझको किस जगह पे अब बिन तेरे सनम खो रहे हैं हम जागे काली रातों में ना सो रहे हैं हम और दिल्ली मुझसे करे नफरत ये नहीं संदेह गली करो ना मैं रूल को ये पालन लगता है से मुझे प्यार हो या सागर सीने में दिल ना तो बटुए में नारक बॉडी है ऐसी मैं दिल देखूं क्या अब करना चाहता प्यार तुझे खोलो पहले कैमरा ताकि तू फंसाने का ले लेना मुझे फैसला करे तेरे बाबा ने 100 क्राइम होना तेरा बाबा चाहता ऑलराइट बिन तेरा दिल मेरा नो संडे दिल्ली पे गई मार भाई मां कॉलोनी के दिल्ली है करीना रोल करूं पे मेरी लाइफ बनी सिनेमा नाले पार आता बाबा बोले उसे मारी ना दिल्ली तुझे क्रैप करूं जाने बाबा तरीका और लर्न मेरा लर्न दिल्ली लगे तुझे मनी प्लान
बिन तेरे क्या संडे दिल पे लगा झंडे करे हम पे नया संडे बिन तेरे क्या संडे दिल पे लगा झंडे करे हम पे नया संडे करे हम पे नया संडे करे हम पे नया संडे तो पसंद का फोन बहुत खांसी हो रही है जल्दी नहीं उसे दिल्ली क्या है तो मैं
ना लड़ना आता है पर फिर भी एक्टर, बाइबल आती काम ना जा सर्वाइवल करता मैटर, रहते अलग सेक्टर लेकिन पैसा कॉमन फैक्टर, चेक द जज्बा जब भी आता बूथ में ऑप्शन मेरे बेटे दिखता प्यार है इनकी माँ के रूप में, पिताजी से क्षमा मांग शर्मसार गंदा काम, लौंडे लगे बेचन कन्या को करूँ कन्यादान,
पंजूले साइडो मनी काउंट लगे मनी कणिका, मेरी बात न शायद पनिका, मेरी झाट लगे तुझे मनी प्लान, गेट और गेट वो बेचने की कड़ी ना, ये कैश रखता हसीना, एरिया का लंगड़ा संविधान, रैप करूँ 91 तेरे मुंह पे बनता 92, पीला करता बार्गेन पर थाने में देता ब्लाइंड डेट, जिंदगी के नाम मायने तभी माइग्रेन देता माइंड गेम, तेरे घर का मौसम चेंज करूँ बाबे गलिया बोले तानसेन,
तोड़ेगी कैसे रखे भाई पे बावे 4 दिन, कह रही थी 2 हैं लेकिन मैंने देखे 4 दिन, अंदर से बिचे इंटरनेट पे कहते बाहर मिल, मैं नहीं देता fuck about your page, I'm in my car still, CEO rap money made me बहुत rich है, game में काफी soft kids नहीं देखे इन्हें mosh pits, who in the cockpit वो करना चाहती lock play, बस देखा बंदी lost है, ताकत ऐसी cosmic,
70 और 96 तुम बचा दो 92, छुरा गुस्सा पहले है बातों का समय बाद में, आधार नहीं है धार पे गायब करता वार से, ये बंदे पिचेस बन गए वो चाहते पप्पी गाल पे, मर्डर है सब में कितने पावे उतनी बढ़ती इज्जत, हम हाल सो में गंदे बाए बाकी तेरी किस्मत, देखा गरीबी थी तो बदली दली बदली किस्मत, सके और सबने नहीं है छुरा लगा टोपी रखता सर पे जब से करा रैप, यंग बावे नंबर 1 they know I'm the best, गलत है नंबर मेरा तभी they don't call me, दिल्ली को चीट करा तोड़ा मेरा promise, फेम जब से न से पैरों पे चमके नाइकी और मुंह पे चमके ब्लेड, मैं जब से करा राइमिंग जब पकड़ी इन दिस डेज, सीधा कैश लाता ATM से पेटीएम से हिट,
तो सिर्फ बाइक को मैं पेटीएम कंट्रोल कर रहा जब से खोला फोन, अपराध बता रहे बंदे जो भी चीजें कर रहा पोस्ट, ये म्यूजिक कर रहा ब्रेन वॉश तो बाइक gotta go, बाइक को कवला हैंडबैग्स में कह रहा फिर भी go, सोना क्रैश कर रहा बाइक पिक नो पोल, जो दिख रहा बैड डे उसे करना चाह रहा ओवर, वो फाइट तेरी पैशन में स्टेप्स कर रहा फॉलो,
हरा मैं कभी ना कभी ला फेस रेट में तू बकरा है बलि का पेड़ थी पैसे से आता ना सलीका सेठ जी बना जो छोटा बस कली का टेस्ट खेलने का दिल से वो तरीका देख रही बनता अब आ गया खलीफा एक नहीं पारों को बढ़ जाता जमी का रेट भी कब्जा लूं मेरठ से तेरा मैं खेत काम सारा हैवी वेट बाबे में ना पर है टिकट सर मूव है अपना डेलीब्रेट भरेगा बाबे पैनी पेट मिलने पे माफी बस मांगे ये दल्ले डेलीकेट जो चल रही जी पे कैची ब्लेड मौत में तेरी रेडी मेड
मैं तुझे है सवाल ही नहीं और ये मुलाकात अधूरी ही रही प्यार ले ले दिल से कोई कंजूसी नहीं जो मारे इस मन को वो बंदूकी नहीं
चाची के चूचों पे चटनी गिराई चाची को पता नहीं चाची गवाई और चाची वो फिल्म तभी सोने को आई इस शादी को चीरे कोई सवाल ही नहीं
पापा के आगे कोई चालाकी नहीं पैसे की इज्जत है कला की नहीं ग्रेटेस्ट को उंगली पे गिनेगा भी के हमसे कोई तेज है कोई सवाल ही नहीं
मेरी धड़कन है गहरी बस दवा की नींद काम ले रहा दिल मेरा 2 दिन की फीस शिकायत ना तुझसे जा तेरी हुई झील मैं बातों को डाउन पे कर रहा रिपीट
DL9 यहाँ पे शैतान है सब बाप को दिख गाड़ी पर चलाते नहीं करूँ ये कैसे यहाँ हैरान है सब भूलूं मैं पूरा वक्त सवाल ही नहीं
ना मुझे कोई शिकायत तू रोज करे झगड़े मैं रोज करूँ टाइप मुसीबतें बस देना चाही डायलॉग ना ढूंढे तुम मुझे कोई बातों में सही
भूलूं मैं तुझे है सवाल ही नहीं और ये मुलाकात अधूरी ही रही प्यार ले ले दिल से कोई कंजूसी नहीं जो मारे इस मन को वो बंदूकी नहीं
चाची के चूचों पे चटनी गिराई चाची को पता नहीं चाची गवाई और चाची वो फिल्म तभी सोने को आई इस शादी को चीरे कोई सवाल ही नहीं रहे मरने के बाद भी ये दादागिरी तू होगा पैदल मैं कंधों पे स्लीप धक 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 जरूरी जैसा तू धड़कन में दिल
आंखों में दर्द है तू छुपाती रही उलझी में मांझे को सुलझाती नहीं दे राम तू है चारपाई मेरी तेज हुआ में आधार तली जान जाए मेरी
हाथ की उठाऊं जब तू नशों से गिरी डेरे की बाबी डेली डिलेमा में ही देते
मैंने तेरी जैसी हसीना बस सिनेमा में देख लिबास है बस आज का मेरा प्यार बिल्कुल एक ही
तेरी जैसी हसीना बस पैसों में झुकेगी
जो सपने देखे मैं लोगों को पैदल ना चलेगी
पर गरीबी की धूल तेरे चेहरे पे दिखेगी मैं दे दूं सारे जवाब पर तू सवाल ही करेगी
भूलूं मैं तुझे है सवाल ही नहीं और ये मुलाकात अधूरी ही रही प्यार ले ले दिल से कोई कंजूसी नहीं जो मारे इस मन को वो बंदूकी नहीं
चाची के चूचों पे चटनी गिराई चाची को पता नहीं चाची गवाई और चाची वो फिल्म तभी सोने को आई इस शादी को चीरे कोई सवाल ही नहीं
रहते हो? कहाँ रहते हो भाई? मैं कहाँ रहता हूँ? बंदी बोली मुझे कॉल कर, दोस्त बोले पीटी सॉल्व कर, बाप बोले कर ले जो है करना, और मैं बोली सेहत पे तू गौर कर। 8 घंटे की नींद ले, या तो सो रहा सुबह के 8 पर, 11:30 उठे बेड से, 12 बजे से है जॉब पर कैसे कहूँ अब सही हो, सुधारूं खुद को कैसे, उठता हूँ एंजाइटी सा लगता जैसे कोई ट्रेन छूट रही है और मैं लेट, तभी हूँ मैं एडिक्ट, तभी रैप के एडिक्ट। पर लौंडे एडिक्ट हो गए स्मैक पे, लौंडे एडिक्ट हो गए लाइन पे, लौंडे जाने चाहते क्लब है लेकिन पैसे बचे नहीं तो मांगे भाई से, लोहा बेचा मैंने लेफ्ट से, पैसा उठाया मैंने राइट से, घुटने पे खड़े हैं दुश्मन है सारी, ये दिखे ही नहीं मेरी हाइट पे, नाचे आगे मेरे कथक पहली तेरी पतक बनी, हेड बॉब करे लोग मसक कली, मेरे आगे पीछे जिसने भड़क करी उसके पैड़े चाटे सीधे सड़क परी, उसकी बंदी आगे मेरे चटक करी, हूँ मैं नशे और वो मेरी लत परी, दिल की धड़कने अपनी धड़क करी, लगे बॉम्ब रहेगी वो फटक करी। हाँ नशा है तू, नशा है तू, नशा है तू, नशा है तू, माइक नशा है तू। नशा है तू, नशा है तू, नशा है तू, नशा है तू, माइक।
नकली लौंडे getting stepped on, मोतू दिल्ली बना red zone, salty लौंडे dead, shorties motivated, dirty rappers getting stepped on, half day you getting sent home, इन्हें वक्त ने बोला देखो best कौन, ऐसे में get your neck चढ़ा सिर पे fame तो आजा get your head blown, I don't care if I'm less known, या खाना नहीं था तभी kept going, आजकल से ज़्यादा देखो airport, ये सोना रोली बना dress code, I'm on FL cooking bangers पूरी रात नहीं पता कैसे करते हैं rest low, या गमी देखा gotta light it up, तभी दोनों कभी बड़े death no, ते पागल दोनों from the get go, ये bitch boys not a threat bro, कुछ कल के लौंडे got a death wish, करूँ इच्छा पूरी कहते Shenron, महंगे शौक है जैसे James Bond, बेरून बॉल ये करे bench warm, पैसा कर दे लड़के flex पर इनसे पूछो घर का तेरे भरे rent कौन, Delhi Belly got a big bomb, star player रहती leg form, I can't tell you कहाँ से आती ताकत but I'll tell you how to make a hit song, 9-1 करे shit sort, timeless दोनों big boss, 9-1 getting bigger every day, candid just as to me still lock.
नशा है तू, 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 माइक। बीते ही जाते जज्बात आते ही नहीं है हाथ तक, अब दिल भी कर रहा है दरख्वास्त कि आंखों को बहने दो, होने दो दिल को हल्का और थोड़ा सा लोगों का क्या है दुनिया को कहने दो, ना डरो बस फटो और बढ़ो, ना सहो बस बजो। हाँ बेबी आगे चल कर Netflix बंद जानते हैं that rich, बंद जानते हैं that lit, आगे चल कर Netflix बंद जानते हैं hot lit, बंद जानते हैं that lit, आगे चल कर Netflix, आगे चल कर Netflix, तेरा नशा करे brain damage और होरी बॉडी को तेरे बिना पहचाने, मैं कर रहा बोरिंग समर सीवर में जब पानी निकले मोटर में, वो चाहती जाना होटल में पर पास न पड़े 50 सेंट, वो कहती अरमानों को खाब तक ही रहने दो, वो कहती आंसुओं को आंख तक ही रहने दो। हाँ मेरा दिल तुझे चाह रहा है, मैंने जो भी पाया अब जा रहा है, और दिल्ली ले रहा मैं बेड रेस्ट, तेरे माँ बाप करे बेड रेस्ट, मुझे कॉल करे कोई अनरेस्ट, सारे सीक्रेट करे कन्फेस। हाँ मेरा दिल तुझे छूने आ रहा है, हाँ मेरा दिल डूबता जा रहा है। Baby आगे चल कर Netflix बंद जानते हैं that rich, बंद जानते हैं that lit, आगे चल कर Netflix बंद जानते हैं hot lit, बंद जानते हैं that lit, आगे चल कर Netflix, आगे चल कर Netflix, धुआं धुआं बादल बाए चिमनी जैसे हम, ये पिनक मेरी बातें सुनती सारे सुन रही गम,
खब में वैली सीना दले किसी से ना कम जब हम दोनों हैं साथ या दली क्यों रुके यहाँ हम हाँ दिल fucked up madly मैं चाहिए तेरा साथ दली trust love lust issues रह चुका है fast दली दली बावे no mind इंस्टा जैसे porn site villain को carry bomb खाए वो दली हाँ 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 वो दली शाशा नहीं हो उसके लिए मैं funny हाँ जो भी देखो दिक्कत you can trust me